This is TWiT.
The latest ransomware on the block is called Conti. And based on the fact that the FBI has recently identified 16 different successful penetration attacks by Conti, starting up from like nothing short time ago, I have the feeling we're going to be talking about those attacks in the future. So I thought we ought to put it on our map. Conti is believed also to be a Russia-based, if not backed, cybercrime group known as Wizard Spider. So Conti technically is the ransomware, also sort of the initiative, and the terms they get kind of mixed up. But Wizard Spider is the group that is behind Conti. They use phishing attacks to install the TrickBot and the Bazaar Loader Trojans that subsequently provide remote access to the infected machines. Then, using that remote access, they move laterally through networks, stealing credentials and harvesting unencrypted data stored on websites and servers. As we know, that's now the first move, is to exfiltrate everything they can off to the cloud somewhere. Once the attackers have stolen everything of value and gained access to Windows domain credentials, what's interesting is they now explicitly wait for a quiet time on the network based on whatever entity it is that they have infiltrated. You know, probably like very early on a Sunday morning local time, or maybe very early on a Saturday morning if they note that Saturdays stay quiet. The point is they're wanting as much time as possible before they're discovered after triggering and deploying the encrypting Conti ransomware throughout the network. So the Wizard Spider Conti gang then use, of course, the stolen data as leverage to force their victims into paying a ransom by threatening to release it on their ransom dark leak site if they are not paid. Recent high-profile Conti ransomware attacks include the free PBX developer Sangoma, the IoT chip maker Advantech, Broward County Public Schools, and the Scottish Environment Protection Agency. The big attack that recently captured everyone's attention was their infiltration, data exfiltration, and subsequent encryption of Ireland's Health Services Network. That was actually on the radar when I did the podcast last week, but it didn't really stand out except for the fact that it of what it is. The Ireland's Health Services Network is known as HSE for Health Service Executive. It's Ireland's publicly funded healthcare system, which was forced to shut down in its entirety Friday before last. The Irish National Health Service said, quote, "We have taken the precaution of shutting down all our IT systems in order to protect them from this attack and to allow us to fully assess the situation with our own security partners," unquote. That IT outage led to widespread disruption across the country for all of its healthcare, resulting in limited access to diagnostics and medical records, transcription errors, which occurred due to the use of handwritten notes, and slow response times for healthcare visits. You know, naturally, in a system which had become dependent upon IT, if you lost all your IT, you were in trouble. We found a snapshot of the dialogue which then ensued between HSE and the bad guys. They said, "As you already know, we infiltrated your network and stayed in for more than 2 weeks, enough to study all of your documentation, encrypted your file servers, SQL servers, downloaded all important information with a total weight of more than 700 gigabytes. Personal data of patients, parens, home addresses, phone numbers of the contact, employees, home addresses, employment contracts, scans of personal documents, phone numbers, contracts, customer bases, consolidated financial statements, payroll, settlements with partners, bank statements, period. The good news is that we are businessmen. We want to receive ransom for everything that needs to be kept secret and don't want to ruin your business. The amount at which we are ready to meet you and keep everything as collateral is 19 million.
We are businessmen. I tell you.
We are greedy businessmen.
I mean, their definition of businessmen is not quite the same as mine.
$19,999,000. So for some reason,
$1 off.
Yeah, well, $1,000 off. $1,000 less than 19 or 1,000 less than 20 million. So apparently, sensing that they had hooked a big fish, the attackers demanded, as this note says, $1,000 shy of $20 million ransom. Now get this. The Prime Minister of Ireland said they would not be paying any ransom. Then, as part of their ongoing negotiations, and perhaps in part due to the long shadow just recently cast by the Darkside attack, which shut down, of course, as we know, the Colonial Pipeline, last Thursday, the gang behind Conti, these wizard spiders, posted a link to a free, as they put it, free decryptor. Get your free decryptor, which will work for all of the HSE encrypted data. Researchers have confirmed that the provided tool will decrypt the files, though it is still being inspected more closely to make sure it doesn't contain any other malicious content. Okay, however, the bad guys still insist upon being paid just shy of $20 million ransom, threatening to go public with their trove of extremely confidential Irish citizen health records data. They said, quote, "We are providing the decryption tool for your network for free. But you should understand that we will sell or publish a lot of private data if you will not connect us and try to resolve the situation." Okay, now, then in an odd-seeming bit of whimsy, the High Court of Ireland issued an injunction against the Conti Ransomware gang, demanding that the 700 gigabytes of stolen HSE data be returned and not sold or published. What? The High Court has issued an injunction against a hidden, probably Russian cybercriminalization. To what end? The injunction was received by the HSE against the Conti Ransomware gang from the High Court of Ireland. Without any form to service the court's order, government representatives uploaded it to the Tor dark website associated with the gang, I guess as their means of serving them. The order prohibits the attackers from publishing, selling, or sharing any of the stolen data with the public. And then, get this, it also demands that they return the stolen data and identify themselves by revealing their full and true names.
Identify yourselves.
Email addresses and physical addresses.
Sure, why not?
Which, exactly. You can ask, which led me to wonder what sorts of mind-altering substances might be in use by the High Court. This feels like something more than a long afternoon in an Irish pub. Okay, so what's up with this apparent loss of sanity? No one believes for a moment that the Conti gang will acquiesce to the demands of the High Court of Ireland, no matter how sincere they might be. But there's some outside hope that the country providing cover and domicile to the attackers might be willing to track them down and at least prevent them from leaking the stolen data. You have to imagine that Russian intelligence knows exactly where these guys are holed up. But the next day, last Friday, the Irish Times security and crime editor Conor Lally explained in a pair of tweets that the injunction is never intended to prevent the Conti gang from leaking the data. Rather, it was issued to prevent the press or anyone else from publishing the contents of any stolen data if it were to subsequently be leaked by the ransomware gang. In Connor's first tweet, he said, quote, "The injunction is not a super injunction in the traditional sense. We can report about it and report if data is published. The injunction is designed to stop/limit the distribution of the data/docs in Ireland after they are published by the attackers." And then in his follow-up tweet, he said the injunction doesn't stop the media reporting if the attackers leak the data, which one assumes is likely. It just means media and anyone else cannot publish/share the actual documents when they are leaked. So I checked I think it was this morning again, to see if there'd been any update since late last week. There was some buzz about some disclosure several weeks ago, but it seems unlikely because there isn't any, nothing has happened since, and this all happened afterwards. So anyway, we'll see what happens with this gang. But Conti is now in the big time, and they've gotten the attention, presumably deliberately. I don't know if these guys are a ransomware as a service. I don't think they are. So there's no middleman that they're dealing with.